This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Erolai, Kreese, and Mark, bringing you all your DissidiaFFOO news and talk. Welcome to Season 4, the LGBT era. Now let's start the show.
Welcome everyone to episode 143 of the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. Recorded on this March 11th, 2021. So glad you could all be... Oh, is there a problem? Yes, this is Mark. I am not a cat. Oh man, our TCC intern PoteauCedar was helping me try to use Snapchat filters to appeal to the younger generations. So I apologize. I am not a cat. This is Mark. This is the host of the Crystal Chronicles. I repeat, I am not a cat, and I am joined by other people who are not cats as well. The first one is Arrow. Arrow, how are you doing today?
Okay, first of all, how do you know I'm not a cat? Because even though I may have posted pictures that depict me as not a cat, how do you know to trust them? Anyway, yes, I'm doing great, by the way.
Awesome. Well, Kreese is taking some time with some family, being able to enjoy some time with family today. So we also have a special guest, and that is Neclord. Neclord, how are you doing?
I invoke my right to say meow.
Meow.
Oh no,
how you doing, Meow?
I'm you seem to be some kind of anime avatar now. But I'm doing great. It's quite late here, but I'm very caffeinated, so I'm raring to go. Great.
Yeah, I was just working on my music video for my ska band. But yeah, no, great. So wonderful. And we also have Mino Spellgood. You know him. Mino, how you doing?
Why isn't my portrait up? I know you have it. I've been on the show for years. You couldn't just replace Kreese with me? I'm filling in for him today.
Your portrait's up. Oh, yep, up there.
Also, missed opportunity to replace Sayador on the outline with Onion Knight's alternative costume. Like, that's what you should have done, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically player 2 Onion. I agree.
Very good. Well, hey, welcome everybody to the show. Just before we begin, a couple notes. We had a giveaway. We've been going to give away here over this last month for the 3rd anniversary of the game 5 DissidiaFFOO trading art mannequin figures and the box that they came in based on all of our subs. So the winner, I did the drawing before the show, and the winner is Raw Life. And I think I saw Raw Life on. So congratulations to Raw Life. Just contact me on Discord, and I will figure out a way to send those beautiful figures to you. Thank you for all who participated in that drawing. And Raw Life will receive a beautiful Zidane mannequin. I know he'll be excited about that. Now, we are doing something stupid, and that is I did make a bet on Discord that if total subs equaled 50 or more during any podcast this month, that I would let the chat decide how to use 50 of my burst tokens. So if y'all want to work together and rack up 50 subs and make me use 50 of my burst tokens, then God bless you. And there was some debate beforehand whether I did originally say one that I did not have, but we'll see how I'm feeling. If you want to make me pity or want to make me use 50 burst tokens on Onion Knight burst because you people are evil, that would be great. We're also going to be trying to do some, I think, Moogle Pass giveaways moving into the rest of this month. So, yeah, that will be fun. So check out that later on. Now, there's some news of the day. Of course, you can always check in your news folder, but you probably don't do that because reading is hard. So let me tell you what you missed, and that is the Portal campaign rewards were given to you. So hopefully you've logged into the game and got all of your crap from that, including some of the top tier crystals. So we shouldn't be light as long as you've completed all the content. You should have more than enough of the highest tier crystals to get those level 80 awakenings taken care of. We also got the gem back bonus, 10% of all the paid gems we got. So if you bought a costume, that's not 9,000 but 4,500, so you got 450 back. I think I got somewhere in the realm of 3,000 gems back from the anniversary. So those were also made available. And the second set of new world hunts were made available as well. So make sure you check those out. And yeah, it's a weird hair day, that's for sure. And there are 5 additional with the second part of Chapter 1, Act 3. So we will have 10 total for 100, right? 10 total for 100 whatever new world hunt tokens, and you can pick up 99 tickets and 1 chocobo feather with your 100 tokens. Now remember, some of those giant golden cactuar rare hunts are level 150 and even level 180. They're still not particularly hard, but don't walk into it with your kind of normal daily clear the cactuar team and press a whole bunch of buttons or auto and then expect to walk through it. So yeah. That's the news of the day. Last week, we introduced you to HaateXIII's Lost Chapter and the Dancing Queen herself, but we did not have time, as it just launched while we were meeting, to go over HaateXIII's Lost Chapter Lufania with 2 erode mantises, or manti, I suppose would be the correct term. They are immune to paralyze, fluke, and lock. Fluke is something that they put on. They inflict quite a few nasty little things in terms of including the debuff Fluke. Fluke has various different levels and gives HP poison and then reduces attack defense, and then further reduces attack defense int brave, max brave. So it is a pretty nasty thing that you want to make sure that you're able to get rid of. The orb is a dispel orb, I believe. Yes. Right? No.
Yes.
Yes. It is increased by 10 every time the boss has a buff that is dispel. So that is obviously something that HaateXIII does. She is able to dispel. Oh, let's see. What's this? Apart from the Lufania orbs, the main concern for this fight is the fact that the bosses constantly apply those framed buffs to themselves, and they're pretty strong. And so quite a few different ways that we have to take care of that. You can kind of beat through it pretty easily, but obviously characters like HaateXIII really help shut them down. Kefka really helps shut them down with the HP silence, and of course Balthier is able to deal with those framed buffs and also cleanse the debuffs, which is very nice. Penelo can also cleanse, and of course Theodore can cleanse now as well. Yeah, they have a couple different phases with the different auras. They have kind of a white aura, the starving, and then the red aura attack signal. But overall, a fairly simple quest. Arrow, did you well, I know you did it, but who did you bring to this quest?
My recorded team was Furion, Reno, and Balthier. I will post a link in a little bit. I didn't find this fight too bad, but you know, with the debuffs or with the buffs, I mean, that they put on themselves, they don't always buff themselves like how they mostly did in like Beatrix's Lufania, where they would constantly give themselves one. So there's only certain skills that give it to them, and that's the tricky part to play around. So for some people, it might be just easier to like dispel one at a time with somebody like Beatrix or what's his name, Cloud, than to take like a full dispeller, you know, like HaateXIII or Balthier. So just something to keep in mind. Balthier does do that single dispel though off of Snatch Steal, so that's handy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Even if you don't build Arciella, guys, you can still put her call on somebody, because that base call will still do that HP silence, which can help protect you against one of those gluttony sickle attacks, which dispels all your buffs. That's so annoying to me. Anyway, those are my thoughts. It's not too bad of a fight. Just pay attention. And don't try to take too many turns over them before they get another chance to buff themselves.
Neclord, any thoughts on Arciella's Lufania? Seems like forever ago.
Irrespective of what team comp you bring, you're at the mercy of whether they decide to buff themselves. It's like Gandalf when he visits the Shire and Frodo's like, "You're late," and they buff precisely when they mean to. There's no cohesion, there's no order. It's just totally up to them. And if they don't, the orbs pop in and you're dying. But yeah, I tried Sartin in this because on paper he works, right? Because even if he gets dispelled, he'll just concentrate right back. It's not really an issue. He's got the dispels. But then I ended up dying to the orb because I was under the HP threshold of his X, which prevents me from dispelling them. And I was like, why am I not just bringing Balthier in his place? Did that, and it was way easier because Balthier's auras are busted. And had a great time.
Yeah, Balthier is really great. Mino, anything to add on this fight that happened a week ago?
Yeah, I like the recent trend they're trying to do to punish you for taking too many consecutive turns. This is the early beta. As we know, later in JP Lufania Plus, Arrow's dream come true. If you take too many consecutive turns, you get clapped. But here, first the Medusas, now this, and then we'll talk about Sayador's fight later. There is some incentive not turns. There really, really is. And so I've noticed among the community there's a lot of rumblings like, oh, this orb feels so unfair because it seems RNG when they apply the buff. From what I've noticed, people who ran no delayers always had buffs. 100%. The people struggling are the ones who are spamming Onion Knight LD or like huge fat delays and stuff. Like, of course, like you can get around it. I think people were using launch comps. Dessel saw a lot of work here if you really, really want to push hard past it. But it punishes the average player for trying to no-turn this. You can either be an amazing player and still no-turn this with a launched comp, or you can just not bring any delayers or huge consecutive turns and still skate by fine, I think.
I'll raise one objection there.
Yeah, go for it.
In the sense that HP silence is, excuse me, a little bit counterintuitive, because when it blocks a HP attack, that typically is accompanied by them taking a turn and not buffing, and that'll sort of wreck their cadence in a sense, where they just, they take turns but they don't buff.
If you only HP silence the gray aura, they will buff afterwards. Like, if you silence the gray aura, which is the one you're supposed to silence, they throw 4 buffs on themselves. So it's a similar thing. Again, I don't want to talk about JP too much, but it's like they're like, hey, please use HP silence, but use it when we want you to. So if you silence the right move, the buffs will come. But you're right. If you silence anything other than the gray aura, you are putting off them buffing themselves. And again, that is like no turning them with the HP silence. So it is a really weird gimmick. Anyone still working on the fight, if you're trying to use Arciella or anyone else, or Kefka, if you only HP silence the gray aura, the buffs will come. So it's a very strange mechanic. And then the last thing I want to say is I'm pretty sure I wasn't on any official podcasts when Balthier was announced and launched as a GL first, so I don't have to eat any crow about any shit I might have talked about Balthier, which I didn't. If there's no records, I've always said Balthier is amazing. And this fight and the Sayador fight prove that what a boon. Like, it's only recently that you really realize how few cleansers and dispellers there are. Few and far between. All the time. These two fights back to back, both a dispel orb and a cleanse orb. Holy shit, has Balthier really trivialized these orbs because of it. That's why the TCC challenge says do these without Balthier, and it's a world of difference, because this fight was notorious in JP. If you used Arciella or anyone else with full dispels, it really is hard to manage the buffs. Balthier is doing one at a time. very, very easy. Balthier kills this fight. This fight is much easier with Balthier GL first. So, for the record, since I'm pretty sure this is my only appearance since his appearance, I've always been a champion of Balthier, and it's nice to be proven right. Okay, set that record straight. Mark?
All right, well, we did have a TCC challenge for this event, and it was... Oh, nope, this is the wrong one. Oh, crap. Well, give me a second. See if I can pick up the right one here. It was no Arciella, no something else.
It's no Arciella, no Balthier is the challenge. That was the challenge.
Okay, no Arciella, no Balthier. No burst phase. Any friends is good. There was no TCC Extreme. Woo, sorry about that. And the winners are Kazel, Crispy Gaming, Disobia Clay, Final Asum, Excalibur, Scarlet Claire, Slowbee, Quay, Bonito, Artsnick, and Strafe. So congratulations to everybody who was able to take care of that. That was that was a lot of fun. So I believe that was everybody on though. Let me double check.
Yeah, I think.
I had oh geez. And now I'm not on the right one. I don't know who these are winning for, but wow. It is CSDX, Leviax, MZ Pro, Kazel, Heavy Cura, Theologica, Scott Ong, Canacity, Pikachu,
wait, what's happening?
Dreamy, and Excalibur. Screen. Yeah, I'm not sure why. It must have been something in my sheets. So, wow. So yeah, those were not only the wrong TCC challenge image, but the wrong actual winners. So I'll read the winners again. You can find that all in the Call to Arms, Macnell's Call to Arms, DissidiaInfo.com, CSDX, Leviax, MZ Pro, Kazel, Heavy Cura, Theologica, Scott Ong, Neacity or Keenacity, Pikachu, Dreamy, and Excalibur. There we go.
Excalibur, right?
Excalibur,
yeah.
Excalibur.
I think he's been mad that we've been saying his name wrong the whole time. Again, not my fault. I haven't been on the podcast for months.
Well, if
I'm just kidding.
If getting names wrong is not kept you.
Hey, to address the shout out in chat. Hey, I'm Kyrie. A lot of people are discovering Heavy Cura. I think he's a more recent streamer to our community. And he has embraced the TCC challenge full force, and he streams almost daily attempting these TCC challenges, and he's a newer player. So, I am a big fan. I watch him when I'm at work, so please check out Heavy Cura. He is hardcore on these TCC challenges. Very, very, very good player.
Yeah, and always trying to do Laguna clears too, so big Final Fantasy VIII fan. So, yep, check out Heavy Cura.
I think I saw one of his for the Seador. He used Laguna for Seador, did he not?
He did.
Oh,
he did.
Yeah,
he did. He did it today. I saw it. Yeah. Very
nice.
good run.
That's pretty dope. I did the team challenge, but I did not record. So my team was Dessel, Beatrix with OK, and another OK friend. Yay!
I also did the TCC challenge with characters, and I didn't record. No, I didn't do it at all. Not at all. I used Onion Knight, Burst, and Balthier, and then some other character. So, yeah, that's what I did. I don't even remember who the third character was. Probably wasn't important.
Probably Arciella.
I don't have her LD, so I didn't use her.
Okay. A lot of that's worth mentioning. A lot of people ran her through this EX Plus through her own Lufania. It's a very good character, especially with the busted ass auras. So, very, very great character to just sit there for a third.
Thank you for the resub, Dean Zugain Z. Appreciate that. We're up to 6, just so if you're keeping count.
16.
6, 0, 6, 6.
Damn it! Why did I use my fucking free sub on Xeno? What a waste! He doesn't even stream half the time. I could have been contributing to this pool.
Right. So Mino, you could contribute an extra 10 subs and make it 16 by gifting 10 subs to this wonderful podcast.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We were just talking about in the pre-show how the standards of the podcast have slipped, Arrow, and I refuse to support that financially.
No, fair enough. I understand.
No, come on, guys. That's a /S needed on the needed on the internet. Sarcasm, guys. Just
600 subs.
When you're joking around these days. I've gotten good about it.
50 subs is the deal again. 50 subs during any podcast total, whether they're Prime, Tier 1, gift subs, doesn't matter. 50 subs, and I will let chat choose which BT token to use with my 50 BT tokens. So which BT to token with my 50 tokens. There we go. 50 subs for 50 tokens. That's the deal. That's why that's that number. It's not arbitrary. It's a real number. So yeah, you're only at 6. You're only at 6. So that's 44. Yeah.
What's the deadline?
No, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. Well, we'll see how we do at the end of the day. I may extend it for a couple weeks to be nice, but yeah. My original deal was 50 and 1 sub. Yeah.
Every 50,
every
50 they have a say on how you spend your resources.
Yeah, for the rest of the month, right? Yeah, I mean, if the community gives me 150 subs, then we'll talk. All right, well, moving from RCL to Zelsi, that's last week. Nobody wants to hear about RCL anymore. Let's go to Act 3, Chapter 1, Part 2. Let's start with some story impressions. Spoilers, if you haven't gotten through the story, pause. Go through the story. If you haven't gone through the story, I'm going to just tell you this. It's nothing you haven't played before. If you have ever played a Final Fantasy game or ever played Opera Omnia, it's not a particularly unique story, so I don't think you're going to be spoiled too much. So, Arrow, what are your general impressions of the first chapter, now that we know its entirety, in Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia Arc 3? Act 3.
It's doing a lot of the standard stuff, setting up everything. We have a new leader in Onion Knight. He's got to learn how to be he's coming into his own as a leader. He is really young in terms of, I guess, how he looks and appearance and his maturity level. So he's got a lot of self-doubt. We're dealing with the loss of Warrior of Light and that nobody remembers him. So this is like a new memories chapter. Not everybody has also gotten their regular game memories yet, which is addressed a little bit in the second half of the chapter. I liked it overall. The bonding sessions with Yuna and Onion were pretty good. And am I allowed to talk about Part 2 as well, I guess, in this section, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. So I also love the Titus and Theodore bonding sections. They were so cute. I'm down with them being like bros. It's cool. I love that if you have Theodore next to Onion Knight in the scenes, they literally used Onion Knight's model to design Theodore's. So, oh my gosh. So he looks like Player 2 Onion Knight, and I can't get over it. My husband and I were just laughing about it. It was so funny to me, and so that's his moniker. He's Player 2 Onion Knight. I'm sorry, guys, you can't convince me he's not. So the other thing is, I guess I'll talk about Part 2 more than Part 1 since I did that before. So I'm not a fan of the Cecil sections. I have a question. What is up with Golbez and Pestle being okay from closing themselves off from everyone in the world? And so you remember in Golbez's chapter, he was like, send me to the void, X-Death. And you had to kind of go and stop him from doing that. Well, it was like that in this chapter, but with Paladin Cecil, so that he could, I guess, seal off Zonde and Cloud of Darkness. It was so weird. It's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't really care for storylines like this. It doesn't make sense. But, I enjoyed fighting Rosa, Kane, Cecil. Those were fun fights. And I was just, and the reasons they gave for fighting them felt like those classic fighting games. Like, you just got to give you a reason to fight, so they just make up some bull crap. And I don't want to say this is bad, guys. I loved it. And I was laughing the whole time at all the situations leading up to these weird fights. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Neclord, do you have any impressions about the story chapter if you've gotten to play it?
Well, I'm quite a cutscene skipping connoisseur, particularly for characters I don't have much interest in. And I'm afraid Onion Knight and Onion Knight Blanco fall into that category. So I didn't really absorb the story too much. But it was nice because there's been a lot of talk in regard to the stock market about going to the moon. I didn't really know what that felt like. And now I do with this chapter, which is really cool.
Oh my god. Fucking shit.
Oh, okay. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, remember Golbez? Golbez was, wants to be all by himself and whatever, because he killed a whole bunch of people because he was being mind controlled by evil monster Zemus Lunarian thing. And so he did a whole bunch of bad stuff, and he felt bad about it and never felt like he couldn't re-enter into society. And Pestle kind of had the same thing when he was at Dark Knight and got a bunch of people killed. But then, more when he was king had to do with, I have to bear this burden by myself to protect my friends and family and my kingdom. So that kind of BS storytelling. Yeah. Mino, any thoughts on the story as it moves into Act 3?
Yeah. I mean, I always knew Final Fantasy IV: The After Years was a carbon copy recycle of Final Fantasy IV, but DissidiaFFOO really drove it home that it was also a carbon copy recycle of FF10. I see it. Yeah, I get it, right? Like, son of a legend, huge daddy issues. Dad ends up being the enemy, hero of the past generation that he has to live up to, on a journey to gather friends to go defeat his dad. Kain is basically Auron. You got the best friend of the father who becomes the actual parent and father figure to the kid, raising up to him to surpass his dad. I get it. Final Fantasy is all about cycles and recycles. So, wow, I didn't realize the connection between After Years and FF10 until this. So good job, DissidiaFFOO. I applaud.
And Dragon Ball Z.
And Star Wars.
And Star Wars.
Everything always goes back
every
to Star Wars.
every Final Fantasy is Star Wars.
Yeah,
Pretty sure Biggs and Wedge were in this chapter too.
What's the reference exactly? Wait, I know. That's no moon. Wait, it is a moon. It is a moon.
Well, enough talk about this story because that's super fascinating. Let's talk about the new character because we don't get new character events anymore because we only get one new character a month. But we get new characters and stories, which is fun. And that new character was Theodore. You just kind of have to Theodore, like that. That's the best way to say
Odor, right?
Theodore. Yeah, so Theodore. Oh, I'm going over the kit. Theodore's a new character. Whoa! Everybody loves new characters. New characters are so exciting. Woo! So characters, Theodore is kind of like his mommy and kind of like his daddy, and they kind of mixed them together and made him moon crazy, and that's how his kit works. So he is a black crystal character that is primarily a physical attacker with holy elemental damage and imperil. He also can cleanse, heal, and battery the party, but he's primarily a damage dealer with a little bit of utility. All of his attacks, including his brave and HP attacks, of which he has two different variants, are all holy element. So yes, he does imperil holy, but he is completely tied to the holy element, so that can screw him up in a little ways. His skill 1 is his daddy's attack, Saint's Blast, just a big old attack, and gives him the Holy Linchpin debuff, which is Holy Resist down and attack minus 20%, and gives him the self-buff Red Wings. When Red Wings is active, he does get a Brave++ and an HP++, both of which act like a battery, and the Brave++ actually heals as well when in Red Wing form. His skill 2 is Awaken, which allows him to get the power Awaken, which is an overhead thing that looks like the moon, so you know that he's moon crazy. He removes all of his own debuffs and recovers his HP. Gets +2 turns to Red Wings and gets 4 turns of Awaken. When Awaken is active, he gets a big chunk to his attack and max Brave, and also his max HP, more Overflow, and when it expires, when he stops going Super Saiyan, he takes 80% of his health cut down right there and no longer gets the plus version of his EX, which I'll talk about here in a second. His EX is a big old fat attack. When it has its plus version, it is a 6 AoE Brave plus HP attack that is executed 3 times. He also looks really cool doing it, so that's something. And that also gives you Holy Linchpin for 4 more turns. Well, his Awakening as well, he has a different Brave Plus HP and HP Plus Plus, which are very powerful. HP is a Brave 6-hit Brave Plus HP attack with splash damage. The Brave Plus is a 5 AoE Brave Plus single target HP damage with some Brave gain at the end. So both fairly good. So you're either using the Red Wing HP and Brave Plus, or you're using the Awakening HP. His LD is Divine Heal, which splits him in 2 and is a combination of his dad and his mom's attack. Pretty cool animation. Removes all his debuffs and all the party debuffs. Heals the party, 90% of their maxed HP. Batteries the party and does a big old holy attack, and then gives Bearing the Next Generation. Ooh, that's birthing.
Star Trek.
Birthing the next generation. Yes, now we're into Star Trek metaphors. Excellent. Where's the linchpin in the Enterprise? That's for you Trekkies with your manuals. Let me know how many linchpins are in the Enterprise. And that gives the party some attack and max Brave. And if the party's HP is at 100%, gives them a little bit more, gives him more attack and Brave up as well. Oh, is that all the kind of basic bones of his kit? Yeah, so as you play his kit, it seems that his kit was designed for his Awakening buff to fall off, and then you to build it back up and heal back up. But it does tend to work better if you keep it going for the entire fight, which means he can really realistically only be in, what, about 72, 77 turns? 78 turn quest. So he's only got about 28 turns if you never let Awaken fall off, which means you're probably going to sub him out for a friend unit, which is fine, and make sure that doesn't. But it does kind of seem that they wanted you to let it fall out, because if you don't, his EX recharge can be a little wonky donkey. And yeah, so I have no experience with him. I did not get him. I went 50 tickets and didn't get him, and then went 50 more and didn't get him, and then I stopped. But Mino actually has the kit and got it fairly easily, and might have some things to share. And then Neclord has some probably comments.
I'm glad you threw it to me second, because the lineup to the podcast so far has been me last, and I was really worried I was going to get thrown this eval last, because the whole reason Mark, Kreese, and I worked as a podcast was because I would just endlessly shit on this character, and then Mark would bring it back up with positive. You know, you got to have a shit sandwich. You got the bad stuff in the middle. So, Mark, thank you for sticking to formula. First, let me get the good stuff out of the way, because there's not that much. Actually, I'm fascinated that so many people pulled based purely on his animations. That's good news. Like, there's a lot of people in the community who had no idea who Sayador is, but they said they really loved his animations, so they pulled. So very good on Square Enix for doing that. The reason we're saying Sayador, chat, is because blame me if you don't like it. The official dev words is that Sayador is a combination of his father's name, Cecil, and again, it is Cecil because that's how they pronounce it in every single voiced version of Final Fantasy, Dissidia World of Final Fantasy 3DS Remake, and his uncle Golbez's real name is Theodore. And the purpose was it was a combination. You take the Se from Cecil and the Odor from Theodore. And
like how Harry Potter named his kid Albus and Severus, right?
Oh no.
I love you, Mark. Thank you.
And the other thing, the second nice thing I have to say is that I have a lot of respect for whoever's doing these FF4 characters, because I feel like they're very true to their source game. FF4 kits are very true to being simple and carrying it out. Like, Yang has one job. It's to do AoE kicks, and he does it well, right? Like, Kane's gimmick in FF4 was jumping to do extra damage and pierce defense, and, you know, that's pretty much what he does here, etc. So all the kits are very, very loyal. Theodore is very, very loyal to his own game. For anyone that played the Abomination that was After Years, he was supposed to be inferior to Pestle in almost every way except for speed and healing. And boy, does he fucking have healing. So, you know, they made that right. And the whole Awakening gimmick was bursts of power, but I'm not sure how it translated here, as we'll get into the kit. After Years also had a unique gimmick. If you played Chrono Trigger, they took the dual bands from it, the combination attacks. So each of his attacks is a tribute to one of his parents. So his EX Vibroblade is an attack that he does with Pestle. So you can see the X slash, right? Anyone that played Chrono Trigger knows the X slash. He splits into two. One of them is supposed to be his dad, and Divine Heal is supposed to be his dual tech with his mother, where they both cast heal and heal the party. So very great tribute. FF4 dev, you are on point. Now let's get to the kit. This is a pretty... without getting into the JP, because we had these great discussions about JP. Anyone who's seen QE videos and stuff talking about characters released and then immediately getting slammed. Theodore is the definition of looks good in synergy bias, and then just gets shit on. We'll talk about that. It's very ironic that Theodore's whole story is about stepping out of his dad's shadow and his dad eclipsing him, when his dad's LD and BT are coming in 3 days now, will completely overshadow him, and then once his dad's 2-week synergy is out, they put up 2 months of Holy Absorb just so you will stop using Pestle. But the problem is Pestle is very support-based, so you can still use him through Holy Absorb. Theodore is only a Holy-based DPS, so he gets hit worse by the attempts to stop his dad than his actual dad. So, you know, there's that whole fucking thing. But before I get into the nitty-gritties and pass it to Neclord, the problem with his kit is that it always feels like you're losing no matter what choice you make, right? So how the Awakening buff works, as Mark says, is that it considerably boosts his stats. Once it wears off, he loses 80% of his HP. Why is this bad? Because he has a party aura that is tied to him being at 100% HP, or the entire party being at 100% HP, and his EX loses 6 hits and an extra Brave Dump when he's not at 100% HP. So the question is, do you keep Awakening up 100% of the time and lose a ton of turns of Awakening because you need to still keep refreshing that early? Or do you let his HP drop so that he loses his auras and the majority of his damage? Because his EX plus, the plus version of his EX attack is 70% of his damage. And the problem is, anyone who's played Theodore knows this. Anyone who's played Theodore knows this. You're either keeping the Awakening up and clipping his EX recast constantly, so you're losing over a dozen EX recasts throughout the fight, so you're losing a shit ton of his fucking damage, or you're letting it drop so that his auras are gone and you're losing damage until his next turn where he can heal back up and resume. So no matter what, you're losing damage. And I want to believe that they tried to stay true to his source game, where he is supposed to constantly lose the Awakening buff, drop back down, heal back to full, and go again. But the problem is all our number crunchers and our hardcore theory crafters have ran the numbers, and he just does so much more damage if you try to keep Awakening up 100% of the time. And again, you're going to lose over a dozen EX recasts over a fight if you do that. So it feels like no matter what you choose, you are getting fucked over. It's a really shitty choice. Somebody on Discord the other day, I forget who, sorry if you're here, said it's similar to Sabin, where when Sabin's at full stacks, you just feel shitty because you have to either dump the stacks, you can't hold it, and then he loses a bunch of his stats when you do it, and then he loses a plus. Like, It's just bad all around. It's terrible, terrible character design. And even worse is content fucks him over, because I mean, he's your #1 holy damage dealer until his dad comes. Hopefully that's not anytime soon, right, guys? Or, you know, he's great if there's not a huge stretch of holy absorb coming up. Hopefully, again, no time soon, right? And his one gimmick of being a huge AoE DPS, you know, hopefully there's not like a start dash banner rework character LD boards for somebody like Squall, who completely just shuts him out without any of the limitations and can be enchanted and has more damage. It's, you know, it's a fucking mess. I mean, I guess you could bring him for the heals, but then, you know, Rude has the same level of birth. It's just, he does everything badly. But before I pass this on, this is too long of a rant, is that he's the perfect example of a character that you can make work, but takes far more fucking work than he justifies, and is just a bad gem a gem trap almost. You know, there's a lot of characters that just get instantly shut out for a long time. You can argue Desh made it through, Peso will make it through, because they have support elements, they have utility. All Sayador has is his damage. Period. It's really, really, really ugly. Neclord, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I'm no Sayador expert because I didn't pull him, but one thing I'm an expert on is getting absolutely fucked over by annoying as piss HP conditionals, and he has one of them, and it's super strict. You will lose a lot of attack and max brave if you are lower than 100% HP, and not just for him, for your entire party. So, you know, if you want to be a twisted person, you join a just for fun queue with VV with Sayador in it just to piss them off.
Nice.
Not advised, but that would be completely evil.
Well, if you're in just for fun, no one's playing Sayador, so
yeah. You can have your own personal twisted fun in that queue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a bit strange. Also, there's one thing as well. The Holy Imperil on his skill 1 is only on the specific target. So you're super reliant on your X for the upkeep on all targets, which could be a problem if they're taking a lot of turns, because it's only 4 turns isn't that much unless you're doing cheese strats.
Sorry, Neclord. Let me cut in really quick to answer chat. Everyone's saying, how does Vincent compare to Sayador? First of all, how dare you guys bring up that drama again to this podcast? But also, there's some, again, I'm pretty sure I'm not on record on this podcast for bashing Vincent, so I've always been a Vincent champion. I'm pretty sure I can say that. And so the thing is, Vincent does have the debuffs, whether they work or not. So that is some party utility. The second thing is that what people have learned recently is that since 80% of Vincent's damage comes from his fucking follow-up, and his follow-up can be enchanted, he does not get shut out by elements. A lot of people thought that he was just locked to fire and lightning, and that anything that absorbed that would kill him. But people are learning that you can enchant his follow-up that does all of his damage, and he's still blasting through everything. So Sayador, the only party utility he has, and I admit it is more party utility than I expected from him, are mediocre auras, but that's good for a DPS, and really good burst heals. But the problem is those burst heals, first of all, he cannot be your primary healer in a longer fight. He just does not have enough charges for it. And the second thing is it comes with the condition of he's going to eat shit at some point in the fight and drop to 20% HP. So you're better off with just like a real healer like Root or something. But Neclord, did you have anything else to add?
There was 2 more things. You know, we're dunking on him a little bit, but he's actually really good. So if the quest, you know, is weak to holy and it has an orb that requires you to cleanse debuffs, he's going to be super good in that. Hold on, let me just check the list of quests. Oh right, it's his own. Right, he's really good in his own quest. So you know, if you're struggling with that, he's a great pickup there. And also, I mean, you know, character comparisons are a meme. I'm going to bring the VV back, because if you consider his overhead is responsible for him taking HP damage, as is Vivi's. So can we not say that this guy is basically a holy Vivi? Arrow, your thoughts?
Arrow?
Oh,
Arrow.
Okay, I need a moment because that last comment was too classic. Everything always relates back to Vivi, which always also, of course, relates back to Star Wars. Anyway, okay, so I pulled for Theodore with tickets. I got him really cheap, so I'd probably be. I had the weapon token a bunch of his crap though because I literally only got the LB for weapons, so I haven't had too much time to play him. But you know what he reminds me of, because a lot of stuff's already been mentioned, is you know how with Alphanaw he has the 2 carbuncles, and then you can keep Moonstone, but let's be real, guys. We always want to be an Obsidian. We want to have Obsidian out, and it's like that with Theodore. You don't really want to use him without the Awakening buff. Yes, there's some different utilities, but those utilities are not covering the main thing that you need in a fight, which is enough damage to meet the turn count requirements. So you got to keep Awakening up, but they make the rotation for that so awkward. And there's a lot to like here, but the Awakening awkwardness is just, I don't know, man. It just bothers me. He's kind of like supposed to be this Jack character, and he's supposed to be, you know, one of those self-harm characters, but usually the self-harm characters have a lot they bring to the table. Vivi's damage, AoE-wise, was just through the roof for the period it came out there. And, you know, Dessel, he does the same thing. You know, Dark Knight Cecil, and he launches like crazy. He's constantly spamming skills. He never can run out, it feels like, because he's always regenerating skills from the EX. Here's another self-harm character I can think of offhand. Oh, Yuri used to be a self-harm character, but that guy gravitied like crazy. So I'm going to give him a pass on that. And they fixed that problem when they gave him his EX anyway. So, yeah, the self-harm thing shouldn't really happen between Rella Crystal and his I can't think of his skill 1 right now. That's horrible. Anyway, I can't remember his name. Crystal Power. There we go. And it's like, this guy doesn't have that. They want him to be at full health, but the rewards for keeping him at full health don't feel as good as, like, they should be. I don't know. It just feels like something's missing here, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But he's a cool character, and I feel it's a shame they did this, right, knowing well, we have foresight, but if we didn't, we'd probably be all really excited about Theodore, however you want to say his name. But that's the thing that bothers me, is that he has all these cool utilities, but he just falls right in this weird crack where he's not quite a great support, and he's not quite as strong of a damage dealer as some of the other damage dealers in his same kind of role. Like I'm thinking like Onion Knight here. You know, Onion Knight is able to switch between his stances without having to worry about an HP loss at the end of a duration of Awakening or anything like that. You just, I want to go to Ninja Stance, and you're a Ninja Stance now. Oh, I need AoE, so I'll just swap to Sage. It's not like that with Theodore, guys. And that's what bothers me. It's like they clearly wanted this guy to be Onion Knight player 2, and somewhere along the lines they didn't quite, I feel, nail it in terms of like gameplay. So he wants to be all these things, but he doesn't do any of them as well as, like, say, Onion Knight. When you know what you're getting when you switch stances with Onion, but with Theodore, it's like, do you have to keep Awakening up? There's no switching to the other stance, really. It's not much of an option. It's like you probably maybe at best will keep it up for a turn. That's wild. I don't like it, but yeah, I want to say I like him. He's got really cool animations. He's pretty. He's got a really nice model. I like his armor. I like his scarf. It's just a shame that something I can't put my finger on it, but it's missing. And I'm gonna pass it back over to Mark if he has anything extra to add.
Yeah, there are a ton of damage dealers in the game that self-harm. I mean, Renoa, Vivi, Dark Knight Cecil, Jack, they all have built-in, except for Vivi, they all have built-in Jack, Renoa, Dark Knight Cecil. They have built-in mechanics where they do damage to themselves. They often become stronger because of it, and then they heal themselves.
Yes.
Where Cecil is Theodore. Theodore is penalized for losing health, and you don't really want him to lose health. and he needs to have the good health and the whole party healthy to have conditionals. But I think Mino brought up a real good point in terms of, comparing him to Paladin Cecil is ridiculous. That's stupid. Don't do it. They're completely different characters. Comparing him to Vincent really doesn't make any sense either. But Vincent is also, can be considered a primary damage dealer, but a primary damage dealer that has some interesting mechanics in terms of some really powerful debuffs, and can be enchanted as a damage dealer. Theodore has all kinds of utility. He heals, he batteries, he cleanses the party, but how often do you need party cleanse? Almost never, and there are better cleansers. And his battery's not that great, his healing's not that great, and his auras aren't that great. They're really good for damage dealers, but yeah, if he's shut out of the element, you're not going to use him. And he's, you have to use him in quick fights and be pretty much willing to sub him out for a friend unit, so that awakening doesn't fall off. And if that's the case, yeah. So I think he's a character that's going to work fine if you really like the character. But if you don't really like the character, this is a character you probably shouldn't pull on.
Mark, can I address chat really quick?
Yeah.
People are asking exactly how many fights of Holy Absorb are coming after Pestle. You guys can do the homework. I think we have the links pinned in our Discord. But starting from Eldnarsh LC, it is 11 out of the next 15 fights. And don't forget, if you've watched QE's video, QE's a great content creator, very prolific, you'll know that even fights that don't absorb Holy still shit on Holy. For example, they said, shit, I forgot. I think it's Terra's Lufania is if you use any element, you get insta-killed.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't absorb Holy, it's like if you use any element, you get killed. So Theodore is shut out of 11 out of 15 fights starting from Eldnarsh LC. That is 11 fights you cannot use Holy. So, if you guys want to do the math, go for it. It's pinned on our Discord, guys. And to double hammer in what Mark said is that, yes, all these other self-harm characters only get stronger when they lose HP. They get those big fat passives, right? Like the Odin Diablos passives, and they don't get punished for losing. Theodore actively gets punished for losing HP, and this piece of shit, like, conditionals are just like sand in your fucking ice cream, man. Like, you're gonna get Squall in a couple of days, and his follow-up is, as long as you have the LD buff up, he's gonna do a fucking AoE follow-up. Same with Vivi. Vivi's like, as long as you have the LD buff, 100% AoE Brave plus HP follow-up. Like, that's what you want, right? That's fun. Not your EX is only good if your entire party is healed. Come on. What the fuck is that shit? That's not fun, man. That's... Oh my god. But yeah.
So Aurelius Marcus 25 is asking how good are his calls. Now, so his LD call is his LD, so it cleanses the party, which can be useful.
Very good, yes.
Heals the party, which is useful. Batteries the party, which is useful and does damage. So I mean, it doesn't give you any effect besides that, so there's no like caller effect. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good LD call. His regular call is just the damage dealing one, right? But gives you the linchpin. So I think it gives the enemies the linchpin debuff, which is attack down. And Holy Imperil. So yeah, I mean, nice calls, not bad calls at all.
Yeah, and the bonus, of course, is the linchpin debuff. Instead of the bosses absorbing Holy, it will only do 0 damage.
Yes.
So
Wait. No, doesn't it go from absorb to... Oh, shit, you're right. It does go to null. Thank you.
Null.
Yes.
Yeah, null.
Yeah. But I do think his calls are really, really good.
Yeah.
LD call is a party cleanse and a 90% heal for the party. That's really good. And then the Holy Imperil on the other. So, but I mean, I'm not in the business of pulling for calls. I don't know.
No, right. Well, and there are, Pinello has a cleanse LD, and Hope has a healing LD with a good debuff, and Jack. I mean, so there's it depends on who you have. I mean, you're gonna start collecting a decent amount of calls that are gonna be useful. So definitely wouldn't be pulling for a call, but if you have him, yeah, not a bad call at all. No. Well,
sorry, Mark. In the interest of clearing misinformation up, Lord Touch Me in chat is saying that, it's not Terra's Lufania that punishes elementals, it's Nine's LC Lufania. So just clearing that up. Sorry, back to you, Mark.
Yeah, let's look at the podcast polls. Again, this is our friend Quetzalma of MateriaBot working on these podcast polls. Over 7 servers. Again, not a very popular banner. You can tell which banners are already less popular by the number of servers they're on. 3 people willing to pity Onion Knight's burst, so good company there. 8 planning to go for the LD. 6 using gems recklessly, I guess, without abandon. I'm not really sure who's in that category of, yeah, I'm not gonna pity the LD, but I'll throw some gems at it. You know, we'll feel it out. We'll see how it goes. 48 using tickets and 68 skipping. So, yeah, that's it. Neclord, what's your pull? I assume, like the average player, you have 2 million gems. But what's your pull strategy like when it comes to, you just like mix gems and tickets recklessly?
Oh, no, I wouldn't dare mix. That's just sacrilege. No, generally I reserve gems for pities only. For stuff I genuinely want, like to the point where I refuse to go without it, and then I just roll with the punches with tickets. If I don't get it, I don't get it. And they give us like millions of tickets.
So many tickets.
All the time.
So many tickets. So many tickets.
The people hoarding like nearly 2,000 of them with the like ticking time bomb of the reward claim. I don't know how they do it.
I only hoard BT tokens. I've got let's see how many days do we got here? Let's just check. Let's just check real quick. We got 18 days. 18 days.
Oh my God! How do you stand this shit, Mark?
18 days.
It gives me secondhand anxiety just looking.
18 days. Just no. Spend some time with that. It's, you know.
I hope you forget.
Yeah.
Like if that hits 0 and you don't claim it, you're gonna feel like Theodore when he runs out of his overhead.
That's right. That's right.
Good. That's good.
Brings it back. Yeah, I will revert to regular Mark and not awakened Mark. So, am I missing? I am missing. I'm missing several BTs. I'm missing Warrior of Light. I'm missing Lightning. I'm missing Ultimecia. So those are the 3 that I'm missing. Just those.
Missing Paladin Cecil.
And I am missing Paladin Cecil and Emperor and Y'shtola, Zidane, Yuna, Garland. I'm missing a lot of BTs. You twins. I don't have the twins BT. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, there's Lufania. Now, this is an interesting. I kind of like that the challenge quest is not the worms, but the challenge quest was the Zonde Cloud of Darkness fight. So fairly easy challenge quest. I forgot Elfinal. I was going to use Sid, and then I'm like, oh, Elfinal synergy. My Elfinal's all built up. So I used Elfinal. Obviously doesn't have an LD. My Arciela doesn't have an LD, and then I used Onion Knight. Very, very easy. But there's a lot of different ways to go about this with or without Theodore. So that should not be. And they don't have tons of HP damage, so that should not be a problem for most people. And I did like the fact that it wasn't just the dumb worms. It was something different. So that was pretty fun. There is co-ops with this as well. You have to go through the story until you unlock the Cosmos before you get the regular Cosmos, and it's the worms. So let's talk about the Lufania fight, which is 2 tunnelers, and they're kind of giant centipede, carrion crawlers, something looking like that. I don't remember what kind of let's say what kind of monsters they are. What type of monsters? I don't know. Anyway, their orb is, and I completely forgot this because I was thinking it was a dispel orb. It is a cleanse orb. So the orb ticks up every time you cleanse a debuff on your party, which again makes Belthier probably better than Theodore, because Theodore cleanses all the buffs. So I guess he does cleanse buffs on himself when he uses Awakening. And so it is really, and Belthier does the same thing with his skill 2. He cleanses his own on skill 2, cleanses the party on LD. And so that's really helpful to kind of manage the orbs, because you're able to cleanse just one debuff instead of all the debuffs, and extend the orb life a little bit longer. Penelo also is a great cleanse option, and you can bring Penelo Call as a cleanse option as well. So, and those are the only LD characters that do it. But Cyan, Yuffie, and Yuna, also options. I don't think I've seen a Yuna clear. Let me check. I have seen several Cyan clears.
DC's done it with Yuna and JP, if that counts.
Yeah,
it does count.
I think I did see one in GL. I can't remember who did it, but someone's done it.
So good luck to all you Yuna runners with that. But let me go through kind of the attacks of the boss. As this is, I found this fight a little bit more challenging than the Arcella fight. Maybe just me. Their recast ability is Mega Quake, and it's a pain in the butt. It's a big AOE HP attack. It dispels the leftmost buff, even if it's framed, on your entire party. So that can be a really pain in the butt. And then grants Senna Poison, which is permanent, doesn't have a turn count. At 1 level, just deals 5% HP damage, but when it goes to 2 levels, it goes up to 25, and then 3 levels, 50% HP damage every time you take a turn. But if it reaches level 3, the bosses get powered up and become immune to debuffs and delays. So you need to cleanse to make sure that doesn't happen. You don't want that to reach 2. Now, Final Asim, who is here, found an interesting thing with Leviathan. So if you have Leviathan can help your buff situation and protect some of your stronger buffs there. So the way that interacts with that attack. Now they also get the Blue Aura Storing Power, and they get that at 79% of their health and 49% of their health, and that fully cleanses their own debuffs and gives them a big brave gain, and that's always followed by the Reaper Plus, which is a big, strong group attack. And that, when they have the blue aura, makes them resist 90% of all brave damage until their next action, which means you need to let them act or attack them with elemental resistance. So that can be helpful. Also, at 59% of their health and 19%, they get Absorbing Power from the Earth. And that's when they get a very large brave gain, and then use the Tail Cutter, which dispels all their buffs before a big attack. So they do a little self-delay at that point as well, so just pay attention to that. So the battle, just to give you a timeline, the battle, you start with the Lufania Orb. It disappears at 79% of their health. They gain the Blue Aura Storing Power. 59% they delay and gain a lot of brave. 49% they get a blue aura again and Lufania Orb, which starts at 10. So that can be tricky that second time the orb appears. And they inflict 8 turns of attack down on the entire party, which actually is helpful because then you can dispel that at your leisure or cleanse that at their leisure. At 19% of their health, they do both brave gain and then self-delay as well. So you can kind of just power through this. Excalibur, Dystopia, Gabriel, and Serial all have runs that just kind of push through the boss using some different mechanics there. So really focused on launching Dark Knight Cecil, Ramza to delay and push him back. So you can also use Synergy. So I used Onion Knight, Belthier, who is great on this, and I did a run with Rude, and I did a run with Warrior of Light, and I did a run with Gladio. All 3 of those options worked fine. And I used Penelo Call. I have Penelo Call as well. So, Arrow, who did you use on this one?
I used Onion Knight, Penelo, and I brought my good boy Machina back from the bench. Finally had a reason to use him since Divine Diablos. Feels good. I found this fight really annoying, mainly because I was struggling at the damage race part at the end. I would have it ready so that I could get hit with the recast ability around like the 30% mark, but then I would accidentally get them under the 20% mark, and they self-delay. So then I would my orb count would be like super low, and they aren't going again for like 10 turns, and it's like, well, that's a failed run, and I have to restart. And I don't know, that tripped me up for way longer than it probably should have. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I found that more annoying than dealing with Medusas, because I just couldn't seem to get the tempo for it right. And I'm terrible at damage races. Outside of that, this fight, as long as you're bringing the cleanse and everything, you should be okay. Mark already went over most of the big points about the fight. And of course, the Dissidia info guide goes into even more detail. So if you need extra help, that's there. Or of course, you can just watch videos. I recorded my run. I put it up. I'm done with this fight. I hate it. I absolutely do not. I do not like it. And that's all I got to say. So I'm going to pass it over to Neclord.
Yeah, our RCL is real good too, obviously, and so is Sayadar. Neck, yeah, I know you championed Cyan here.
Yep, and it was super painful. I'm not recommending using Cyan to anyone for this quest, and there's a very specific reason why. Because if you have a dedicated dispeller on the team, if you're not relying on a call, you think I can pace myself here. The orb's pretty generous. It goes up to full with 1 cleanse, right? But here's the kicker. Because you noted, at 2 stacks, the poison is 25% of your HP. Well, let's just warp over to stupid HP conditionals, Chapter 2. Here we are, Cyan's X. If you're below 80%, that's minus 20, you don't get the cleanse. So in other words, this slow character that has a very infrequent cleanse cannot pace himself, because if you're put at 2 stacks, you're just fucked. The run is over.
I got a quick question for you, Neclord, because Ink was saying this in our private chats. I don't know if you had the same experience, but he said that once he realized you only use Cyan EX to cleanse, he had a much easier time. He said his Cyan run was hell until he's like, fuck it, only save the EX for the cleanse, and then it was smooth sailing from then. Did you do that?
That's precisely what I was doing, and it was I still found it rather hellish until I swapped Kuja out for Onion Knight. I just gave up. I was like, double synergy, fuck this, I'm getting it over with. But the one of the issues as well is if you go into his Max Brave stance, he is now too slow at the start of the quest to reach full charge in time before the orb pops. So you have to use Speed Stance. Now, if you use Speed Stance and just spam skills, you're going to find a glaring issue in that you'll reach the point where you're like, you're in time, but your X charge will be at 99% because the speed buff wrecks him. So the middleman here is to remove his Crystal 50 passive, which is gives him extra turn rate on his concentrates. So his concentrates are no longer instant turns, but you reach that X charge when the orb is at 1, like literally 1. So
yeah,
the stars align in that sense, and then you tag him out for like 90% of the quest and bring him back once everyone else is put at 2 stacks, and then he taps in at 1 and then cleanses again. So yeah, making him work is an absolute nightmare. I don't recommend it to anyone. It drove me mad trying to get Kuja RCL Cyan through this. It was nuts. Because there's a Japanese run that does it, and it makes it look so easy. But Jesus Christ, the amount of like lucky turn orders and shit you need to make that work is unreal. The more I tried it and realized. But yeah. So,
well, but I mean, thank you, Neclord. Hopefully, the one other Cyan main in the world will be able to utilize your advice and get the clear now.
Yeah, hopefully that one other person who was like, I really, because all 4 other people who would do it have already done it, but there is that one person sitting at home like, oh man, I've been really struggling with that. I've really wanted to get Cyan through this, and I really needed the TCC podcast. This is my episode, finally. Just remember, folks, sub for more, ring the bell for notifications for more great content like this. So appreciate that. How did HaateXIII do in this fight, Mino?
I didn't use them. Fuck Synergy. Well, no. I say fuck Synergy, but I ran Onion Knight. But first of all, no. But yeah, the deep dive nerdery Neclord, that's what we're here for. Thank you. I actually unironically enjoyed hearing those strats. But no, I didn't want to fuck with this fight. But I have a lot of fun notes of this fight, and chat really did not like this fight. First of all, Blartanian is saying this is probably the most mechanics in a fight, right? Like every 10-20% they were doing something. False. Rude. Lufania. The VOD no longer exists. That fight actually did something every 10%. Fuck that fight. I know most people blew through that with like Rude and Vivi, but if you tried it without them, holy shit, I hate that fight. And I argue the Medusas have just as many HP threshold mechanics.
Yeah, I think the Medusas do.
Yeah, this fight brings a brand new mechanic that is throwing everyone off for a loop, and I get throwing everyone for a loop, and I get it because this is the first time the recast ignores every single type of mitigation, and that's what's fucking people up. They are used to bringing Guy or Gladio or Rude and cutting that Brave damage by like 20-30%, cutting that HP damage by 20-30%. Warrior of Light. No, this is the first time you cannot tank your way through. And once you understand that and work around that, this fight's not that bad. But I understand that the first instinct for most players is to try to find a way to mitigate that with like people like Hope or something. No, Hope doesn't do shit here. That 60% mitigation gets cut right through. What you need to do, and I hate saying this, oh my god, it kills me to say this, but debuffs are king here. And I
Vincent is real good here.
Yeah, Pierre, edit that out. Like I know Macno listens to all the VODs and recordings. Mark, please cut this part out. I don't want to give Macno any credit, but the point is there are 2 ways to cut damage down. One is player side mitigation, which I love player side mitigation. Everyone loves it. Bring a tank. Just sit Guy in your fucking party, and he's cutting down the damage you take by 70 to 60%. Easy. Throw Hope in there. Bam! 40%. You're taking 40% of the actual damage. But this is the first time the game is like, fuck your mitigation. We're cutting right through it. So, unintuitive, you have to debuff. You have to do enemy side mitigation. You have to cut their attack, their speed, and their int brave so they don't fucking wreck the shit out of you. Okay? There's 2 ways to sail past this Lufania. The first is battery prevention. The only 2 characters I think that have that, 3 characters have that. One is Setzer Freeze Joker, RCLLD, Yuffie EX. Very few options, but that is the #1 best way to make this fight a joke, is battery reduction on Reaper, because Reaper Plus and the recast, they self-battery by a shit ton, depending on HP damage and stats. So once that's up, if you can keep it up, they don't do any fucking damage. The second way is, as I said, big fat debuffs like Vincent, sad to admit. Nerf their attack and their int brave, and they're not doing any damage either. But for anyone struggling on the fight, that's the secret. The reason it feels so fucking weird is because you can't do anything to mitigate it anymore. You have to debuff to do it. And I know a lot of people are trying to DPS race this and, kill them, so they do a minimal number of recasts, but that's just the secret. You either have the characters and the team to build around it, or you don't.
We are gonna edit that out because we want to remind everyone that the party line is that Vincent does suck, so that the next DL first will be better.
Yes.
We can't go back and say, oh yeah, no, Vincent's great, because we don't want them to know that he's fine.
And as people in chat are saying too, like RCL is big for this. She has great debuffs for this. Yeah. Amazing. So yeah, debuffs are the key. The last thing I want to say about this also is I'm forgetting. I think I'm getting to that point of the podcast where I'm drunk. Back to you, Mark.
Very good. Well, hey, let's talk about some podcast questions. Everybody likes questions. Neclord loves questions. That's why he's here.
Love them.
So, Raw Life, who's the winner of our most recent contest, congratulations. What are the mosts? That was a very difficult question you asked, Raw Life, at this point in the podcast. How dare you? What are the hosts most, it's a tongue twister, excited for coming up? Near or far, events or weapons? What's keeping you most excited about the future of DissidiaFFOO? Arrow, what are you so hyped for?
Okay, so variants came and gone. Yay! So who am I pulling for in the near future? I know you guys are going to be really shocked. I'm actually going to go for gems all the way to Petty next month for Waka. No joke. I'm actually really hyped for Waka. I'm so mad at the initial release. I could not seem to ticket pull his EX, and I was so mad. I got Aerith like back and forth. I was just so angry. And then I had to wait till the rerun with Von LD to get his EX, and I used the heck out of him. I was so mad to find that out. I'm not skipping on Waka again. We're going all the way. We're not going to screw around. So Waka. Yes, I'm excited for him. For the next boss rush, I am pulling all the way. All right, I'm passing it over to Neclord now.
Still trying to think, actually. Like, yeah, most of my favorites are either, like, not in the schedule or have already passed. So, no, this is quite obvious for me. Terra, easily, yeah. Terra BT and rework with the LD is the stuff of nightmares for bosses, and I can't wait to abuse the living shit out of it.
This is the year of Mino. Yang becomes good. Sabin becomes good. Jack is scheduled for an LDBT. All of my favorite characters are coming up. Mark?
Yeah, I am not going to pull until Zidane BT plus. So that's my pull plan.
Did you hear about Sid Reigns?
What? Sid Reigns is coming to DissidiaFFOO? Oh, damn! Snap into a Slim Jim. I don't know why that's like a wrestling commercial. Like that's not Sid Reigns' personality at all. Yeah, I'm pulling on pretty much. What banner are you pulling on the next one? That's pretty much my pull plan. Views don't view themselves. You gotta put out the content.
Views don't view themselves.
That's right. Hey, Whitegraph. I don't know how you say that name. Whitegraph, Wheatgraph, Whitegrass. I'm not sure. Wheatgraft. I'm not sure. I apologize about mispronouncing your name. Which one of the non-protagonists and non-villains would you want to give a BT to? Who deserves a burst weapon who's not a main villain or protag? Neclord, any thoughts?
Well, if the is the Jack stuff confirmed? I'm pretty sure Jack's confirmed in the JP end. Well, obvious answer here. Seymour.
Seymour.
Fuck you.
Oh, excuse me? It's a perfect, like, they're just missing the perfect marketing opportunity here. Wedding Seymour costume.
Oh, Wedding Seymour.
You hide that obnoxious hair.
Yeah.
And you get some sick-ass anima summon, whatever nonsense he has when he transforms into random shit with the missiles. You know that stupid fight on the...
Yeah.
Was it Mount...
Yeah.
Gigazet, Jaggerrap. Yeah.
Turned you into zombies and then casts full life. Fuck that fight.
Who's that? Who's that guy? Who's that other summoner? Izaru or I forget what that guy's name is. The guy that summons the same things that Yuna summons. He summons Veil 4 and Ifrit and Bahamut. What was that guy's name? he's like a frenemy kind of thing. You fight him several times. Yeah, is Sorrow or something like that. He needs a BT, and he needs to be in the game. That's what, and he should. That should be to make up for the fact that Yuna only summons one thing. He should summon all three. Be awesome. That's my pick. Arrow.
Ooh, Machina. I know he's kind of been already set up sort of as the rival.
He's the villain. Yeah.
The villain rival kind of character for Ace, but he has not been confirmed, and I still stand by it. That dude deserves a BT.
All
right. So, that's gonna be my pick.
Yeah, brother BT. When that's what.
Let's make I guess I gotta pick a hero.
You don't have to.
I don't have to.
No,
okay,
just
cool.
one.
I only care about Machina right now, guys.
Perfect.
And Yuri, maybe Yuri. But I think he's kind of considered a pro tag anyway, so there's a potential for him, probably more than Machina anyway. But yeah, either or, I would be very, very.
No, Arrow's never played Type 0, so she just likes Machina in this game.
Yeah, I only have read the story stuff, and honestly, I think Machina is cool. He's super cool. And I would love nothing more than for him to get a BT.
There's something I don't understand here. So you're pitying Waka, but you like the forbidden Machina.
That's a good point.
That's a deep cut.
In a party together.
That's a deep cut. Somebody clip that. That's going to be on the Tonight Show later this week. I expect a meme version of that. Mino, who deserves a BT?
Are you serious? Everyone knows my answer is Kane actually has a burst attack. He's been in the Dissidia games for fucking decades. Like, he has a burst attack and a theme and everything.
He's on the poster.
It's so easy to just put that in the game. Like, easy. Everyone knows. Even Tetsuya Nomura said, the very first person I included that was not a protagonist or an antagonist was Kane. Number one choice for him too. Like, easy. Shit, Mark, did you go already?
I did. Yeah. Hey, this question is specifically for Neclord. Parsnippins asks, who's the thinking man's unit in DissidiaFFOO?
Oh. Now that is a difficult question. Oh.
Who makes the gears turn? Who makes the
noggin jogging?
Who gets the
who charges the neurons?
Yeah.
I mean, Alice would be your first port of call because of that.
Are you serious?
Ridiculous flowchart.
Yeah, you read a flowchart. There's no thinking there. That's not a thinking man's character. That's a person who needs to read a player's guide and follow a chart to...
Well, the thinking man was the one that made the flowchart.
Yes, the thinking man did the work.
But then, another point raised by chat, Realm. The ultimate thinking man of this game is Belial, and he uses Realm.
That's true. Okay, you know what?
And she's also the prize of the banner.
She's always the prize of the banner. Yeah, always the prize of the banner.
I might have to go with Realm there.
Good call.
Balancing everything up. Yeah.
Arrow. This one's for you. Zarathi asks, "Is there a particular team comp you've really wanted to get to work but haven't been able to?"
Ooh, there are teams. Well, with Lufenia, there's a lot of great ideas that work, but then you have the orb, and it tells you no, that's not happening today. Wow, I should have read the question so I could have had an answer for you. A character I struggle to run that I have an LD for. I will come back to you on that because I think I have somebody in mind, but I got to check my list because I have so many LDs and like characters and stuff. But I will be back to you, Mark. I'm going to pass it over to my good buddy Mino this time.
What are we doing?
Exactly.
Comps you want to run?
Yeah, teams you haven't been able to make work that you wanted to.
Pass.
All right. Neclord?
Vincent.
Yeah, very nice. Yep, that's true.
Generally,
good job.
With every Lufenia that comes out, I generally try to throw Cyan in with team comps, and I progressively transition on to full synergy as I keep getting my ass kicked by them.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen this time, but for the past like probably 8 now, I think it has happened. So that's my answer. I try to fit Cyan anywhere, and it doesn't work because he's bad.
Well, PoteauCedar, the TCC intern who's helping us with these fun Snapchat filters, says regarding the topic of the game eventually closing. Yeah, thanks Cedar for that one. Usually he's very, very positive. Not really sure where all this negativity is coming from. What are the host plans post DeFo? What will happen to the podcast Discord? Wow, that's a great question. Neclord, what will you do if the Crystal Chronicles is no longer your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast? Oh,
I'll have a more reasonable sleeping pattern.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, it's 3 a.m. Yeah, and you don't. Yep. Oh, it's last call. It's last call here on the.
I imagine that's distant future, right? So it's not even worth thinking about, surely.
Well, this podcast has endured a transition from one mobile game to another mobile game. For those of you who are unaware, and I did just share our first episode of this current iteration, episode 1 of the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. But before there was 143 episodes of this podcast, there were 61 episodes of the Crystal Chronicles, your Final Fantasy Record Keeper podcast. And so we took a break after we kind of stopped playing. Record Keeper's still going, but we took a break. And Pierre, who started the Crystal Chronicles, actually ran kind of the equivalent to Dissidia Database in FFRK Central. And so he stopped that, and we stopped the podcast, and then we got back. And the Discord stayed open the entire time. So I assume once this game dies, then maybe we'll have another Final Fantasy mobile game to play, another got you. So, that's pretty much what that means. Unless there isn't, then we'd destroy it all. We'd burn it all to the ground. Spend all our gems. No, who knows? Yeah. And I hope you would all get on with your lives and be okay. Oh. This is another from White Graft. Which EX era banner still gives you nightmares from the resources you spent?
Fuck this question. Pass. Are you serious?
Oh, I didn't even read it until I started reading it. That's an excellent question, Whitegraft. That's the Tidus EX banner. Ash 35. I spent probably 50,000+. And I hate her. I've never liked her kit in this game. She sucks. I bought into the JP hype that said, Ash is so good. We play JP. We're so good. And she sucked then. She sucks always. She's the worst character. Ash is trash. And I hate her. And I hate her stupid face in her game because she's dumb. So, Mino spent well over 100,000, 140,000 gems maybe on Tidus EX and didn't get it. It was rough.
Oh.
It was rough. 200. Yeah. I mean, it's been so long. Let's just 200,000. And used 400 tickets. Did you mix tickets on that banner?
No, I went straight jabs. This was before Pity.
Yeah, this was pre-Pity. Yeah.
I saved 135K. I was like, what are the chances you're not going to get the EX you want in 135,000 gems?
Yeah.
I missed on 135, and then I paid for 9,000 more for the $37 bundle. It's not even a sale or anything. It's like 37 USD for 9,000 gems, and I still missed on that. That was the lowest point I've ever been. And ever since then, I never pulled with gems again. Since that day, and that's why I am where I am now.
There you go.
Lesson learned. It only takes one time hitting rock bottom to change your ways.
Yeah.
Not only hoarding gems, you're hoarding the trauma of that incident by not spending them.
Yeah. Well, Squeegee asks, I know this question is a little difficult to answer because everyone's roster and resources look different, but what resources with what resources will the host recommend people use to MLB 15 and 35 CP weapons? If you don't get the dupes on your draws, use weapon tokens and use power stones. You're gonna have a lot more power stones if you pull, and if you play the game for a while, you're gonna have a lot of weapon tokens. So the most important thing to remember is, kids, max limit break all your weapons, especially if you're a new player. You need the 15, you need the 35, you need the EX, you need to fully realize the EX, and you need the LD. Don't be running Sayador LD only or Onion Knight BT only, because Lord knows I've seen that. Thank you, Squeegee. Good question. Do not hoard weapon tokens. No reason to hoard weapon tokens. Don't hoard Power Stone. The only people that have Power Stone issues are people with 1,000,000 gems. And most of them don't have Power Stone issues except Inkwelder. And I don't even have Power Stones, and I have close to 1,000,000 gems. And I've not sold any of my LDs. So Power Stone issues are a myth. No one has them. If you do have them, yeah. What? I sorry, Retro Gamer Dad. I'm not really sure what you're referring to. Seems like maybe a setting issue with your computer. Tyrannical Tyrant Kreese has mentioned that she has not been able to complete the most recent content for the past few podcasts, and that she would like to let us know her thoughts when she completed them. Would you be able to follow up? Yes, once Kreese is back on the show, Kreese will follow up. Oh, I think that's it for today. We've gotten through, so we're all caught up to March. Thank you. You can go to podcast questions, and again, we do have a what?
We have more questions. Let's go.
Daniel asks, what Final Fantasy game would you like to see remastered or remade next? For me, it would be the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. I mean, that one's still pretty decent quality. We need about 1,000. I want a mobile remaster of Final Fantasy VIII and all the Final Fantasy VIII spin-offs that I anticipated in my head, just like we're getting a Final Fantasy VII mobile spin-off, Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus, Hoopity Ha. I'm really looking forward to that. So, Arrow, what game do you want them to remake?
They remake FF3 to not suck, because that version really makes me mad when I think about it. Like the
Luneth version.
Yes. Can they just?
You want just like a.
All of them.
You want a nameless protagonist Onion Knight quest.
Yes. Can they just be Onion Knights, and can they just make the story less grindy? I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I hate that remaster a lot, and I hate it so much. I would wish they'd do it again. There we go. That's my answer tonight.
Well, speaking of Final Fantasy VI, there is a, that's what we're talking about, right? Final Fantasy 3, 6. I can't imagine anybody really would want Final Fantasy 3. But there is the director or the producer of Final Fantasy 3 is working on a new JRPG, something with a F. I just read it. There you go. So I know Mino desperately wants them to remake Final Fantasy VI. He's talked about it specifically.
Nope. Stop remaking games. Move on. This is why we have like 50 fucking Hollywood remakes of everything, guys.
Oh,
Stop.
No, they can't just leave it at that mobile port. It's just unacceptable what they did to Final Fantasy.
New IPs. Waste of time to go back. I can always play the fucking SNES version if I want to go back. Please stop milking my nostalgia. Look how that worked out for Star Wars. Yeah. Stop.
Avalon says it's called Fantasia. It's something with an F like that. That sounds right. Zarathi says if you want to play Final Fantasy 3, just download Final Fantasy 14. They have all those dungeons. Fantasian.
Yeah. Mark, the name of that game. Yeah. It's Fantasian.
Fantasian.
Fantasian. I don't remember. I'll go look it up and put a link for it in the chat.
And Nabora is doing the soundtrack to that too, I think, right? I think it sounds like there's a couple of the folks working on it. Neclord, I know you've never played a Final Fantasy game, but if you did, which one would you like to be remade?
Oh, I mean, the answer should be obvious. It's got right. It's just so unacceptable. Like 6 needs the 4 treatment. It needs the 4, like, you know, the like 3D remakes they did with 4. Just do that with 6. Like the mobile ports. Like what? What have they done?
It's awful. It's unplayable. It's unplayable. Yeah, it's terrible.
I grant though, the only market improvement in the mobile ports is that using Cyan is actually easier because you don't have to like queue up everyone first and then and then charge Cyan's Bushido as everyone's doing their inputs and stuff. You just, because all the menus are separate, so that's nice. But it doesn't help that the game looks hella ugly. So that's a pretty significant downside in the port.
Neclord, I'm gonna steal chat's answer and say actually what I want remade is the rest of Final Fantasy VII after the Midgard portion.
Yeah.
I
can't wait for what's it? Final Fantasy VII Remake Royal Edition. I'm really looking forward to that. I can't wait to play through it all.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a Final Fantasy VII Fortnite mod where you run around as soldiers and shoot each other. I think that's really kind of where the game needs to go. And then kind of a MOBA kind of game and a fighting game. I think they need to expand like I want like an Among Us with Turks. I think that's really the next thing they should do is just Final Fantasy VII Turks Among Us and
Animal Crossing.
Final Fantasy VII, Animal Crossing. That's pretty much World of Final Fantasy. So that is
Final Fantasy Jackbox.
I mean, World of Final Fantasy is kind of just Animal Crossing, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Lartanian says FF7 the after years.
The after years. Yeah.
Or you play
Very
as
nice.
Red 13's kids.
Yeah.
I'll transition this back to another serious answer. It'll wrap it up in a neat little bow tie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Remake the PSP Dissidias. They are beloved games. They're very well made.
Too, yeah.
They are. They're actually very good games. They should be remade.
Yeah, and they can port them to everything in the world, like how they do with all their games nowadays. You can put it on Steam, put it on iPad and Android. What else? You got to put it on the PS5, the Switch. Hey, they'd make some good money probably off of those remakes. They should do it. I agree.
Blartanian also says, "Oh my God, you actually got my name right." Yes, I get all the names right. So you guys should all pronounce everything the way I pronounce it.
Yes.
Long silence, Mark. Please move on to the next question.
LaFaro says, hello, with Arcielo's LC Lufania, that appears to be the last Dispel-related orb in a while, correct me if I'm wrong. Looking forward, what are the host's thoughts on the idea of a mechanic, or perhaps a skill from a new character, that gives enemies a buff? Would you perceive orbs like Arciela LD or more tolerable? What do the hosts think would be an acceptable buff to give an enemy? Or would that not matter if it's used to trivialize an orb condition like Arciela Lufania, and the risk of a powerful buff is mitigated with someone like Balthier? Arrow?
That seems like a lot of work. Does the buff, even if you are giving the buff to the enemy, does the character that does such a thing benefit in some way from doing so? Because without that, it's kind of stupid and pointless to me. But otherwise, depending on how they decide to play around it, it could be interesting. But I don't think that's the direction that they want to take the game in. So I don't foresee anything weird like that happening anywhere in the near future on either side of the game.
All right. Well, sorry, LaFaro. We shut that one down real quick. We've already talked to the Debs, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. Anaheim, if we come across one of the hosts during a co-op game, what do you guys want us to do to let you know we're fans of the podcast? Burst. No, seriously, I don't. None of us like to play this game, so just make it easier for us. Use a lot of emotes. Yeah. Well, no, see, friends.
Oh, sorry.
If you come across me, I'll know it's you. I know. I mean, you're all like children to me. I know all of your names. I know the hairs on your head. Thank you, Illuminasa. I don't know how to pronounce your names, just like my own children. But that doesn't mean I don't love you. So, I know it's you. I know it's you. I may not friend you back because, your names are all different on these different... Just use your real name. We can be friends. Yeah, Mina, what do you want people to do when they come across you in co-op?
I saw a really good one yesterday. Somebody I did not recognize saw me and Hitmonchan in a co-op, and he used the Mog Advice Please sticker over my head, and then another character saying good. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And then I proceeded to AFK for the rest of the fight. but I mean, like, I mean, Jin Lee says here in the channel, he says, wait 60 seconds and brave attack if you were a fan of the show and you see one of us, unless it's Mino. It's what somebody else said in there.
Retro Gamer Dad, you're just going to have to watch my my sermon from last week. Learn more about that. Neclord, if we come across you, the mythical Neclord, I know you don't co-op very often, but if you are in co-op and we do happen to catch you, how should we react?
I mean, I'll just issue everyone a challenge. Like, if you can get me to notice what's going on in a co-op, you've committed a miracle right there, because I barely look at it. I tap where the LD icon is and occasionally glance down to see if it's my turn. So if you manage to put on some kind of spectacle that'll be like, okay, wow, like this guy knows it's me, you'll have won the day for sure.
Lee Jin on Discord answered that. That's not, you shouldn't be answering questions, and said, wait 60 seconds and brave attack. JD Terrafor says, what does everyone do with excess books? That is freaking books. Where am I at in the book situation right now? Because it's, I got a little Neclord coming out from here. Hold on. I feel like
wait, what?
I got hold on.
While you're doing that, I'll answer chat. Syndical God says, why use Pestle when Balthier exists and isn't cucked by Holy Nullify? Sneak peek, Ink and BC were actually talking about this literally, I think, either this morning or yesterday. They said their hot take is that more people are going to be willing to skip Pestle because Balthier exists, and Balthier's auras are, while not as strong as Pestle's, way less conditional. So it's a boon that Balthier might make Pestle not a must pull, if you could believe it or not. Of course, this advice is going to get drowned out, and everyone's going to ride that Pestle hype train. But that is something that BC and Ink have been throwing around, thinking that it is true that Balthier could actually slightly fill that role for you guys.
Yeah. Yes, is the Pestle, is he worth it? That's a good question.
It's basically,
can we be anti-hype?
Pestle is, someone asked earlier in chat, I typed it in. They're like, what does he bring that Theodore doesn't? He brings heals. He brings damage mitigation. He brings 50% increase to Brave damage, 30% increase to HP damage. So it's more than Balthier's.
It's more,
but it only activates when it's when he's at 100% health.
Yeah.
He compensates this for overhealing, but also we have that huge stretch of Holy Absorb as well. So Ink and BC are formulating that Balthier could be a viable substitute for this. And so like that's something to consider. Not saying don't skip Pestle and blame me. First of all, blame BC and Ink.
Yeah.
You know, like he's called Black Cloud because he just likes to rain on parades, so take it up with him. But
I think that's because he's black and likes cloud. I'm pretty sure.
That's racist, Mark.
Is it though? I mean,
so
anyway, so books, yes, yeah. JD Terraforce. I've got 20 extra books, and I hate it. I do not sell any of my EXs. So if you look at my EX list here, I do not sell any of my EXs, and so I just wait. I don't sell any of my anything. As you can see, I've not sold any of my extra fully realized EXs. I've not sold any of my LDs, but I don't sell any of my regular EXs either, in hopes that maybe I will come up with a dupe. I will come up with 4 dupes, and then I will be able to use those dumb books. So yeah, I mean, I have a ton of extra EXs just sitting here, and 3 of quite a few of them. Now, if I get to the point where I'm at 153 Power Stones, but if I get to the point where I've got like a ridiculous excess amount of Power Stones, I'll start using Power Stones to, you know, if I have 3, what did I just see? I have 3 Ramza here. I had 3, 3 something else. 3 Ida, you know, and start using some of them to use those books. Because, yeah, we need books. Now, I've got, you know, I had plenty of nuggets, too, at that point. So that's not really it's not really a big deal at this point. But, Arrow, you any, no nuggets. Any thought on extra books? Any strategy?
Yeah, I'm gonna start. I actually have finished booking all of my unique EXs, every one of them. I do not sell my dupe EXs I pulled, and I already started merging many of them together just to kind of clean up my inventory space, because I don't like having a messy inventory in these games. So I may start to use the occasional book now on some of those dupes and then sell them for nuggies. And you know what we always do with that. That means more purple EXs. So this is exciting to be truly out of the drought of the nugget and ingot era of the game.
Neclord, book strategies.
There's only one strategy. I permanently wrestle with this. I'm just consistently resisting the urge to book and max a 3rd Leo X to make the ultimate Cyan. I'm 1 sphere off. I did 2 Leo spheres. The 3rd one will just make him chef's kiss. Perfect.
Do they stack?
They do stack. Yeah,
Nice.
So it would just, because he's just pure single target, it would just be plus 30% brave damage forever.
What if his LD rework gives him AoE?
That's the devil on the shoulder telling me. But what if?
Well, then you just buy the sphere removal. Then you're fine.
Yeah, but then I have to financially commit to removing those. To be fair though, if he does become AoE, who else is left? Is it like a single target specialist? It's like Shadow.
Neclord. They're saying right now with the new difficulty of Louvre Plus, defense penetration is the new hot thing. Maybe that's why they're saving Cyan for last, because if he hit now with an upgrade, he'd be wrecking these fights because the defense just skyrockets. So, you know,
I've got 2 devils on my shoulder now telling me. But wait, what if he becomes a god and he's AoE and
Final ASOM. Apparently, you did not get the memo that we have a new redemption thing for 2,200 points. We will interrupt the podcast and answer any question that you want us to. But we will answer your question right now because we're feeling so nice. I know this is GL podcast, but I want to ask, what do you guys think of Lufania Plus shenanigans released in JP? QE just had a nice little video about how much he hates it, and I think Mino has some insight on Lufania Plus. Here's my thing, because this is a GL podcast. Don't play JP at all.
I love that one. I've been quoting you all day, by the way.
It's dumb. Don't play it. Unless you live in Japan. If you live in Japan, you can play JP because it's the game that was designed for you. Unless you are a big brain content creator, don't worry about it, because by the time we get there, we'll know all the tricks. Like, Chaos was so hard. Oh, Lufania. No, listen, nothing's been hard for us because we know all that. And so you let the smart people play that. And we have our Black Clouds. We have great people. Rem's working on this stuff. VL's working on this stuff. We got QE. We got all kinds of people who are doing good work. And then we got a whole bunch of idiots who are just spending money on the JP game, going to tank the GL game. And we're all going to be, and then we're going to have to play the game with the lings that we can't read because none of you are investing in this game, which is the game we should be playing, because this is the game that's superior to the other game because the other game is not good. Because it's the beta version of the game. So don't play it. If you speak the English, don't play the JP game.
Oh my God.
Unless you're trying to make money in this. And if you're trying to make money being a content creator, play Among Us in Fortnite. Don't play Defo. You're not going to make any money. That's not how this works. But seriously,
the anime face just made that perfect.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was great. I have thoughts too. Let's save that for the post show. But what I do want to say, and I've been trying to QE's videos today have lit a fucking fire in the community. And what I've been trying to do, trying to fight these fires throughout the day, is say that from, and we'll go into depth in the post show if you want, guys, but from the JP vets that have been playing since close to day one and have done all the content, they said the spike from Lufania to Lufania Plus is about the same as Cosmos to Chaos. Okay? Which means there's a lot of, as Mark would say, more casual players who got blindsided by the difficulty jump and knee-jerk reactions, hated the game, took a break from the game, quit the game. And even in GL, every difficulty jump has seen content creators quit, right? Like, I've seen people quit on Cosmos, on Chaos, on Lufania. But the thing is, they said it's equivalent to that, and everyone who was worrying about Chaos 8 months in advance, how many GL players here who follow the podcast, who follow Tonberry Troupe, who follow all these websites, really, truly struggled with early Chaos? Because the best characters were already outlined, right? The strategies were outlined. A lot of people... In fact, wasn't there a huge Facebook meme about, like, this is Chaos? This is what JP players were worried about? Like, this is easy. I did this with my fucking eyes closed. Like, guys... Oh my god, the second time. I hate quoting Macno, but don't live in the future. Don't live in the fucking future. Because when it comes around, you're hearing knee-jerk panic reactions from people being blindsided. Okay? It was not that bad with 8 months of foresight and a bunch of experts outlining the strategy for you. And I truly, truly believe Lufania Plus will be the fucking same. Because of the real, really, really good JP players who are still clearing all content say it's an equivalent jump. And if you weren't worried about Chaos, don't worry about something that's coming 8 fucking months in the future. Foresight is more powerful a tool than you think. Just like in Chaos, there's characters that JP underestimated. For example, JP did not know how strong Lightning LDBT was going to be, or Gladio. Once we got that news, people pulled those two characters, breezed through Hell Month. Okay? Same with right now in JP, people did not realize how important Porum was going to be. Because Porum was a character that came way before Lufania Plus, and they're like, this person batteries based on HP to 100% of your battery? Why is that needed? That's overkill. And then you get 90% reductions, which he bypasses. Boom. Okay? So the bottom line is stop fucking worrying about shit coming a year in the future. Don't fearmonger like BC does. Just play the game that you have in front of you.
Also, something to add there, because I've seen some of the discussion about it, but one of the core complaints, I think, was that synergy for the quest in and of itself isn't actually tailored particularly well to it. And that's one of the reasons it's also bullshit. Because with Vayne, for example, because he's like delaying and taking loads of free turns, and it's like a sap orb or something like that. But at the same time, like, Lufania Plus is supposed to be like the ultimate end game for people that have like already built massive rosters and like have up-to-date stuff. So like it's I don't think it's supposed to be a quest where you just pull the banner and no brain through it, from what I gathered. But people seem to be upset by the fact they can't do that.
Right, that's the other thing, sorry, is that your expectations are your own. There's plenty of people here listening to the podcast in our server who don't do every Lufania and who still enjoy the game fine. There's a lot of JP players, like big shout out to my friend Aeons out here, who used to constantly stress about trying to keep up with endgame. I think now she doesn't care about Lufania Plus, so she's having a great time. Like, you don't have to do the endgame. Even if you want to do the endgame, you can fucking wait. You don't have to do it on launch. For example, Sayador in Lufania is killing a lot of people, but if you pull Pestle, who comes out in 5 days, he crushes this shit. And that's always the case. The next character is going to destroy this. When Reigns came out, he destroyed every single Lufania Plus that came before him, including X-Deaths, which everyone thought was super restrictive. And then, like, oh, you can't do this one? Wait for the next character or two. They will crush it. They always design the next character to make the last event even easier. Like, it's self-imposed pressure to do things right away and try to keep up. It's okay to skip content in this game. We say that shit all the time. Like, it's not a big fucking deal. Mark.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to be it for this episode of the Crystal Chronicles, because we're getting on that 2-hour mark, and that makes the uploads a little crazy for me. So, thank you. Thank you to Arrow, and thank you to Li Jin, the famous monk. Thank you to Neclord. You can always find Neclord. I have it pinned in our general chat. Neclord did a hilarious Ace Attorney meme, but does many, many other fun memes on the Reddit, so always check those out. And shares them on Facebook as well, under your real name, which is a little dangerous. Just let me throw you out there. I never use my real name in any of this, or my real face. This is not my real face. So, got to be careful. You got to be careful. People might travel across the pond and look you up, knock on your door. Just say you're warned. But you can.
I mean, they'd be going to one of the biggest shitholes in the country, so more fool them.
Yeah, they're like, well, hey, if you want to come over here, it's great. I feel that way about people coming over to the United States. So yeah. Well, this has been episode 143 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded on March 11, 2021. Thank you all for joining us live, tccpodcast.com. Check it out on YouTube. Like, sub, ring the bell for notifications on all those videos. And generally, if we have the post show, we put that up on the podcast only. All the other pull videos and stuff are on YouTube. Laylee on YouTube for Arrow. Mino streams occasionally here and does some things as well. Neclord, of course, you can check out on our Discord and on Reddit and Facebook. And until then, friends, we are, 4 days away from Paladin Cecil. So good luck on your pulls. We'll probably be streaming that and also be pulling on that. And if you're not sure, you can always wait till next week when we break it down, and we're going to have a special guest, Simply Lost. So until then, this has been Mark, Arrow, Mino, and Neclord. Good luck. Goodbye.